All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to zoom way, way in. I'm talking microscopic level to explore the one thing that connects every single living creature on this planet. Yep, we're talking about the cell. So let me ask you something. What could you possibly have in common with a cat and a sunflower? I know, it sounds like the start of a strange joke, right? But the answer actually gets to the very core of, well, what it means to be alive. Believe it or not, the answer is cells. That's it. Every single one of you is made of them. Think about it. Whether you're sitting here listening to this, a cat is pouncing on something, or a flower is just, soaking up the sun, all of that is powered by trillions, and I mean trillions, of tiny living units. We call them cells.
Okay, so we're all made of cells. Great. But what is a cell, really? Let's get into it.
A really simple way to think about it is to picture a house, right? A house is built from thousands of bricks. You can't have the house without those individual bricks. Well, it's the exact same idea for living things. Every plant, every animal, you, me, we're all built from these basic units. These are our bricks. They're called cells. So yeah, the textbook definition is the basic unit of life. But honestly, that's kind of boring. A much cooler way to picture it is as a tiny microscopic factory, one that's buzzing with activity 24/7, running thousands of chemical reactions every single second, just to keep things, well, to keep you going. So, what do you say? Ready to pop on a virtual hard hat? Let's take a tour inside one of these amazing little factories and see how the whole operation works. And here we are. Welcome to the factory floor. This right here is a pretty standard animal cell. Now, I know, it might just look like a bunch of squiggly stuff floating around, but trust me, every single piece in there has an absolutely essential job. Okay, first stop on our tour, the head office, the big boss's room. This is the nucleus. It's basically the cell's brain. It's calling all the shots, directing all the activity, and, this is the important part, it holds the master blueprint for the entire organism. We call that blueprint DNA. All right, moving on. Every factory needs electricity, right? You got to keep the lights on. Well, meet the mitochondria. These are the power plants of the cell. Their job is to take in fuel, from the food you eat, and turn it into energy that powers literally everything else the cell does. No mitochondria, no power. The whole factory just shuts down. And what about security? You can't just let anyone wander into your factory. That's where the cell membrane comes in. Think of it as the security gate around the entire facility. It is super picky about what it lets in and what it lets out. Only the good stuff gets through. And finally, see all that jelly-like stuff filling up the inside? That's the cytoplasm. This is the main factory floor. It's where all the different parts are, where all the little machines are humming away, and where all the real work actually happens. So that's a quick tour of an animal cell. But remember our sunflower friend from the beginning? Let's jump over and see how its factory is a little bit different. Okay, so you can see they have a lot of the same stuff, right? They both have a nucleus, they both have mitochondria, but plant cells have a few special upgrades. First, they have this rigid outer layer called a cell wall. That's what gives them their structure and lets them stand up straight. They also have this huge storage tank called a large vacuole, mostly for water. And maybe most importantly, they have these things called chloroplasts. These are basically tiny little solar panels that let the plant make its own food using sunlight. Pretty amazing.
So if one cell is a factory, then you're not just a factory, you're an entire sprawling city made of trillions of factories, all working together perfectly. So how does that even happen? How do we get from one single cell to something as complex as a person? Well, it's all about organization. It's a hierarchy, like building a city. You start with the basic unit, the cell. That's your brick. You put a bunch of similar cells together and you get a tissue, like muscle tissue. That's like building a wall. You combine different tissues and you get an organ, like the stomach. That's your building. Those organs work together in a system, like the digestive system. That's your city block. And finally, you put all those systems together and you get a complete organism, the whole city.
Okay, I know that's a bunch of levels to remember. Cell, tissue, organ, system, organism. So here's a little memory trick for you, a mnemonic. Just remember the sentence, clever teachers offer smart options. See? The first letter of each word gives you the exact order. C-T-O-S-O. Easy, right? So all these levels of organization, all these trillions of factories working nonstop, they need a ton of energy to keep running. Where does it all come from? Well, it basically boils down to two super important processes. First, for plants, you've got photosynthesis. That's where they use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to literally make their own food. Then you have cellular respiration. This is what all living cells do, plants included, and us too. We take in food and oxygen to release energy. And here's the really beautiful part. They're perfectly linked. The stuff that photosynthesis produces, glucose and oxygen, is exactly what respiration needs. And the stuff respiration produces, carbon dioxide and water, is what photosynthesis needs. It's the perfect, elegant cycle of life. Whew. Okay, that was a pretty deep dive into the world of the cell. We covered a lot of ground. So let's do a quick review of the big ideas, and then we'll have a little quiz to see what you remember. All right, so the key takeaways. Number 1, everything alive is made of cells. Simple. Number 2, those cells are organized in levels, from tissues and organs all the way up to you. 3, plant and animal cells are similar, but plants have those key extras like a cell wall and chloroplasts. And 4, all of this is powered by that amazing partnership between respiration and photosynthesis. Okay, time to check your knowledge. First question, which of these is an organ? Is it A, a red blood cell, B, muscle tissue, C, the stomach, or D, the digestive system? Think about those levels of organization. Okay, got your answer? If you said C, the stomach, you are absolutely right. A stomach is made of different types of tissues all working together for one job, digestion. All right, last one. What's the special part of a plant cell that soaks up sunlight for photosynthesis? Is it the nucleus, the cell wall, the mitochondria, or the chloroplast? I'll even give you a hint. It's the reason plants are green. Yep, you got it. It's D, the chloroplast. That's where that food-making magic happens. And that's a wrap on our tour of the cell. But I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. We've seen that a person and a giant tree are built from such remarkably similar parts, these tiny factories with a head office and power plants. If we're all built from the same basic blueprint, what does that really tell us about the connection between all living things on this amazing planet? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.